The next 2 years, 2011 and 2012, is going to be one of the most epic years in terms of superhero movies and anything superhero related for us nerds. From Batman 3 in 2012 to the Avengers film also in 2012, as well as the Spider-Man reboot, we also got two big ones coming out next year, which we're definitely looking forward to, even though we've been referenced to a couple too many times with Iron Man 2. And I'm obviously talking about Captain America and Thor. Both movies are coming out in 2011. Both movies are being highly anticipated and at the same time very skeptical. Now, a little warning before I go on with the rest of the video. I am going to be talking about some little bits from Iron Man 2. So if you have not seen Iron Man 2, please, I really recommend not seeing this video. If you have seen Iron Man 2 or you really don't care, then go ahead and watch. But we saw quite a few references in Iron Man 2 to future superhero movies as well as past superhero movies. Two of them being references to Captain America and Thor. Captain America's shield is seen very, very, very explicitly during that scene when Tony's trying to create a new element. He uses the shield to build his little doodad, which I thought was kind of bogus for Tony to do, even though he didn't know it was Captain America's shield in the first place. But it was nice to see it once again, even though we saw it in the first Iron Man film. Only this time, it's sort of a prototype and it's not completed yet. And of course, the reference that I thought was the coolest reference, most orgasmic reference, was Thor's hammer found in the crater by Agent Coulson after the end credits. Now, after all these references, I have high expectations for both films. But at the same time, much like a lot of people, I am kind of skeptical. Thor is being directed by Kenneth Branagh, who is an Academy Award nominated director for a period piece called Henry V. And he directed a couple other films that turned out to be more or less good. But I just don't know how to react to him directing Thor. You know, there's some directors who are great directors, but they don't necessarily work with every sort of genre. And I've seen the behind the scenes footage from Entertainment Tonight showcasing the Thor movie, along with Chris Hemsworth doing some interviews as well as doing a little walk-in on set along with Natalie Portman. You also get a sneak peek at Anthony Hopkins as Odin. He looks pretty badass, but you only get a headshot, so you don't actually see him completely. And to be honest, I don't exactly know what to say. I can't respond negatively or positively either. I mean, during this footage, you can kind of see the set of what appears to be Olympus, but it looks more like a sci-fi spaceship, which I'm kind of not a fan of. I mean, it looks very circular and just too futuristic for it to be ancient Greek mythology. Speaking of designs, let's talk about Thor's costume design. When we first saw the picture of Chris Hemsworth as Thor, we were like, yes, this is Thor. You know, when we saw the actor in his, normal pictures, we were like, yeah, this guy's gonna be Thor. I mean, he was great in the first 10 or 15 minutes of Star Trek that he was in. And I'm not really being that sarcastic. He was great. It's just that he was only in the beginning as Kirk's father. But we were like, him as Thor? It wasn't until we saw that picture, bearing the tunic with the 6 discs on each side of his torso with the red cape, that we were like, yes, this is Thor. Obviously, the helmet is missing, but hopefully we'll see that later on in the film. And overall, the costume looked very badass and very reminiscent to the original costume design of Thor in the comics. It wasn't until like a month or a month and a half afterwards that they released the concept art of Chris Hemsworth as Thor in his complete full body costume. And I gotta say that my expectations dropped. I mean, the top looks nice. I mean, it looks very Thorish, which is what we saw in the original picture from before as from the real set. But then we looked down and we looked at the lower body, and it looks like they just did not know what to do, and they said, you know what, let's just throw in some generic knee pads or shin guards and boots and just call it a day. Alright, the pants look just plain. The boots look too futuristic, too sci-fi, for a Greek mythological superhero. And he also, even though he is in good shape, he just doesn't look like a god, He looks like an average superhero like Spider-Man, but he just doesn't look like he would be able to wield the power of thunder. At least not without his mighty Mjolnir. I don't know how to pronounce that, but Mjolnir, the hammer of Thor, the ancient hammer of Thor, which also looks very nice in this picture. I really like the glow of the electric glow that they gave it around the actual hammer, as well as the actual design of the hammer, how they kept it very reminiscent to the original comic hammer with the little strap at the end of it. And we also saw this before in the original post-credit scene from Iron Man 2. And a lot of people are complaining, we need the helmet with the wings. Maybe we'll see it later, maybe not. who knows? But for now, I am anticipating the Thor movie, but at the same time, not, yeah, I'm being careful not to get my expectations too high because who knows? Now on to Captain America, which is being called Captain America the First Avenger. I don't know why they have to add that at the end, but I guess it kind of makes sense. I mean, it would explain it a little bit better to those who have no idea what the Avengers are and were getting lost in all of these nods and references to the Avengers in the Iron Man 2 movie. Captain America is being directed by Joe Johnston. Joe Johnston directed Jumanji, Jurassic Park 3, and recently The Wolfman. Now, I'm one of the very few people that really, really liked Jurassic Park 3. At least I liked it a whole lot better than The Lost World. Not as much as the original Jurassic Park, but I really have a lot of fun with the third movie. Jumanji was also very fun, and I have not seen The Wolfman, but I've heard that it's, okay, it's not necessarily scary, but alright. This guy could have the potential of directing a superhero movie. After all, he is in fact an Oscar winner. However, he won for Best Visual Effects for Raiders of the Lost Ark back in '81. So he knows how to do visual effects completely. I mean, he won a freaking Oscar for it. So being that Captain America is probably going to be a visual effects driven movie due to the fact that it's a superhero movie, he might very well be great at directing a superhero movie at all. And for now, there's nothing more to say about the movie itself since we have not seen a single image, video clip, behind the scenes footage, trailer, nothing. All we've seen is this concept art. Modeled with Chris Evans in the actual costume, this actually looks rather neat. It looks very real and at the same time very faithful to the original comic design. There are a few bits here and there where I feel it looks too modern, considering the fact that this movie is going to be taking place in World War II in the 1940s. It looks a little, too futuristic for its time. I mean, with the shoulder pads and the padded pants, the little, hexagons that are on his pants. It looks a little too futuristic right there, but then it looks very nostalgic with the brown gloves and boots. And like I said, at the same time, it looks like he's gonna need something more than just his strength and his shield. You got the utility belt with all those pockets, and you got the little harnesses across his torso with the red harnesses that are attached to the shoulder pads. You got a really neat looking helmet that looks like it locks in place with his ears, which looks rather nice. Of course, there's going to be people complaining that there are no wings. To be honest, this is actually one of the very few custom designs where I'm going to go ahead and sacrifice a portion of it. And I really don't mind not seeing Captain America with his wings with this custom design. And overall, it looks very nice. Chris Evans looks like he could pull off the job. I mean, he's not exactly a great actor, but he was Johnny Storm, aka the Human Torch. And I've seen it in a bunch of other stuff. He's going to be in Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, another comic book movie. So hopefully he'll pull it off as Captain America. Of course, a lot of people are a little bit iffy about him and Ryan Reynolds taking over the superhero movie industry. You got Chris Evans previously playing the Human Torch, although I hear he's not going to do it anymore since they're planning on rebooting the series. But now he's playing Captain America, and then you got Ryan Reynolds, who played Deadpool and is going to play Deadpool again in future movies, as well as the Deadpool spin-off. But he's also going to play the Green Lantern. Sooner or later, we're going to see Chris Evans as the new Spider-Man, Green Lantern as the new Superman. I don't know. They're both great actors. They're both good guys, but we gotta let in some variety here in terms of actors, that is. There are my thoughts on the new superhero movies that are coming out next year. Don't know how to feel about any new, news about the Spider-Man reboot or the Avengers film or Batman 3, since nothing else has been announced other than the fact that Batman 3 is currently being written by Jonathan and Christopher Nolan. The Avengers film has a director, which happens to be Joss Whedon. Don't know how to feel about that because he's mostly a TV comic book guy and not necessarily a movie guy in terms of directing, that is. And we're all going back and forth as to who the new Spider-Man should be. Let me know what you guys think of all of these superhero movies that could be coming out in the next year. And answer this question: if the world is to end on December 21st, 2012, would you be happy with it, considering that all of these superhero movies will be coming out prior to that? To me, that depends, because they might tank. But there's only one way to find out, and we will in 2011 and 2012.